Welcome everybody to the media lunch break, where we sum up please cut that out. You're not gonna cut that out. Yeah, that's not gonna get cut.
This is the temporary theme song for the media lunch break.
Alright. Yeah, okay. I had to figure out how to start this.
Hello and welcome to the first ever Media Lunch Break podcast.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was really good.
That was just a recommendation.
Oh, okay. Alright, that was like, I like that because that was like a 3-ring circus.
That's all I know.
Yeah, I felt like you should be wearing a top hat. Welcome everybody to the Media Lunch Break. I am Chris Treble. Alongside me, as always, is Andrew Dunn. Say hello, Andrew.
Hi.
Where we sum up all the geeky comic book movie news that you can fit into the space of eating a sandwich and maybe a nice piece of pie. Should we just jump right into news?
Let's jump right into
news. Do you want to? I'll give you a choice. Do you want to start with Marvel? Do you want to start with DC?
Surprise me.
Well, either way, I was going to go with Marvel. So here we go.
Marvel. I'm surprised.
Let's see. Marvel news. This is not really a surprising piece of news, but we'll go with this. Michael Peña, back for Ant-Man.
Yeah, he's the best part.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, just the whole... Any part that he had with the lip-syncing.
The stories?
Yeah. It was
good.
fantastic. So, he's definitely back for the sequel, which I think is no surprise to anyone for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
I think that... So we have Paul Rudd back.
Yep.
We have Peyton Reed back, the director.
Right.
Michael Peña's back.
Right.
I think everyone is pretty much back for this. I think they'd be crazy to say no to coming back for
Unless
this
they're
movie.
dead.
Yeah, Michael Douglas
might be dead.
But I will argue with the CGI capabilities, even if he's dead, he'll still be back for this.
All right.
Yeah, I mean they de-aged him. That's the next step.
De-deathing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean if they figure that out, Peter O'Toole is going to be in a Marvel movie. Mark my words. Mark my words.
As who?
That's a good question.
And young Peter O'Toole or old Peter O'Toole?
I think they would start with old Peter O'Toole. Like...
What do you mean start with? He can't play more than one character.
Well, no, I think... that's true. Okay, I think they go with, like, my favorite year Peter O'Toole.
Okay, alright, so
like,
younger, but established, mature.
Yeah, but mature, yeah.
But for which character?
Well, that's a good question. You know Marvel better than I do. So
you know what?
I'm going to float that to you.
You know what's funny? That era, I was actually going to say, if we could get him back in a DC movie, Oliver Queen.
Ooh.
With the goatee.
He'd be a good, like, Dark Knight Returns one-armed Oliver Queen.
Sure.
To opposite Clint Eastwood's Batman, I'm going to float.
Oh,
That'd be a good pairing.
Again, if he's still alive. Although they could bring him back too, so who knows?
That's true. At this point, we're just going to de-death everybody. Even people who aren't dead yet.
Speaking of people who were in Ant-Man.
Yes,
I believe Bobby Cannavale, right? Wasn't he in that? Even though I cannot remember the character he played.
He was the stereotypical stepfather cop.
Yes.
Which,
right. Who's kind of an asshole, but he's just trying to look out for his new family.
Yeah, the asshole with the heart of gold.
Right. So he is going to be in a movie coming up soon.
Really?
Yes, he does those. And this movie will star John Turturro. Have you heard of this?
Go on.
It's a spin-off of The Big Lebowski.
Yes, yep. This is exactly what
John Turturro as the Jesus.
Yes.
I don't know how much you know about it. It's called Going Places.
I have seen one article about it.
The Coen brothers will not be signed on to do it.
Well, apparently Turturro is the one who wrote the adaptation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah. Well, this is all I know about it, is that it's based on a French film, right? And
sure.
It's going to be based roughly.
Like a pastiche, I guess.
But that I guess what happened is he was writing an adaptation of this French film and then just stuck his Big Lebowski character into the film.
This could go either way. I don't know, man.
I gotta say, how much balls does it take when you're writing a movie to take a character that you were in another movie, unrelated, and just plug it right in there?
Do you know the plot of this movie?
No, I have no idea. Do you know the plot of this movie?
I know a lot about this movie.
Okay.
So it's John Turturro, Bobby Cannavale, Susan Sarandon, and a number of other people whose names I did not take note of because I've never heard of them.
Okay. That's fair.
And
they're probably not important.
One of them is a young woman. Mm-hmm. And the plot of this movie is these two men who band together to give a young woman her first orgasm. Starring the Jesus.
All right. First of all, in my experience, it's going to take more than 2 people.
Well, the Jesus is at least 5 or 6.
That's true. That's the plot of this movie?
That's the plot of this movie. And then Susan Sarandon is going to play a woman who breaks out of prison at some point or something.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hit or miss, man. I don't know. I don't know, man.
I mean, I think we're going to find a lot out about how John Turturro goes about giving a woman an orgasm. Which is, I mean, that's how I based all of...
Unless they get a coach.
Who do you get to coach that movie? And what is their official title? Like credits? Okay,
coital
movie...
coach.
What is it?
Coital coach.
Coital coach. I like the alliteration on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who? Milton Berle.
Ooh.
Is he still alive?
Nope, but with the technology of CGI now, we can de-death him.
Yep.
I mean, reportedly, Milton Berle knew a lot about...
That's what I'm saying. Or
the pleasure of a woman.
Or just someone... You look for someone who's hideous, who's been with many women. I say Ron Jeremy.
Ooh, well, yeah. I think that's the obvious choice.
Yep. He's still alive, right?
Yeah,
he's
for
in
now.
Boondock Saints.
I mean, that was only a movie made like 15 years ago, so he's got to still be alive. He was not in the sequel. Did you see the sequel?
No, I sure didn't.
Oh, it's not good.
That's why I didn't see it.
Yeah, no, it's a kind of a mess.
What else you got?
All right, let's see. Okay. Spider-Man news. Spider-Man news.
Yeah.
Always good news.
Mm-hmm.
There's rumor that we have a Mary Jane Watson. Let's see.
They're skipping over Gwen Stacy again?
They're skipping over Gwen Stacy again.
All right.
Let's see. Her name is Zendaya.
I saw that she was cast in it, but I didn't see...
Zendaya Marie Stormer Coleman. Well, those names just get more and more average as they go along. Yeah, so Zendaya. She just goes by Zendaya. She's one of these Disney Channel...
Yeah, she's a Mickey Mouse Club person.
Yeah, just Universal players, blah, 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 blah. So far, she is playing a character named Michelle.
Okay, yeah, that's
but a lot of people think that this is code for Mary Jane Watson, and that she's gonna... They're trying to con this. I say that with K-H-A-N, which always works.
See, I don't know. Marvel is like the only one who hasn't done that.
What, pulled a con?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't, it
to.
doesn't seem to make sense to me to do it. Because you're right. I think that they win. They win all the time.
Well, and it's not even about winning or losing, but like they just have a better sense of story and character development.
That's what I mean. As soon as you know the movie's coming out,
right? They don't need to pull a Shyamalan. They've already got. They don't need some twist.
Yeah.
They've got whatever they need. They've got all their players. They've got all their pieces lined up on the chessboard.
Yeah.
They don't have to surprise you with. Especially Mary Jane would be such a strange one to surprise you with. Like, oh yeah, it's the one he's always with.
Well, I think the surprise is if you see a picture of her.
Right, yes.
She looks
very dark complexion.
Nothing like Mary Jane in the comics.
Which again, whatever. Like,
of course. Well, you and I say whatever, right. And the internet instantly shat itself.
Yeah.
So everybody and their mother just went nuts when they heard this. James Gunn came out and said, "Hey, you're all stupid."
Right.
I'm paraphrasing James Gunn, though. It wouldn't shock me to have that be the actual quote.
Yeah, it probably started there, and he elaborated.
Yeah, and then basically what he said was, the way you judge these things is if they are true to the character. And really, this is what happens with Marvel a lot, where, and I don't know why the internet has not learned its lesson, where it's like, news comes out about this, everybody loses their damn mind, and they're like, you can't do this, it's blah, 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 and then we see the movie, and it's amazing.
Who else has that happened to in a Marvel movie that has been released so far? Because the only one I remember is Benedict
Cumberbatch?
Weasel Snatch, whatever his name is. As
Doctor Strange,
which hasn't even come out yet.
No, yeah. I don't even know if it was that. I think this one is the biggest.
That's what I'm saying. Is that like we don't know that there's been I don't know that there has been a movie where
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm getting too specific with Marvel, but it has happened a lot where word comes out that so-and-so is playing this character, this beloved character, quote-unquote, and then everybody loses their mind, and then we see the movie, and, like, it's not that big of a deal. And really, it's true. Like, it's stupid.
It happened more with DC, but it usually doesn't work in their favor.
Well, it usually doesn't work in their favor because their movies are bad, unless...
But also, Jesse Eisenberg.
Okay, listen.
Although Ben Affleck was their, like,
yeah, that's true.
Success.
I mean, that's true. on the opposite end...
Batfleck
was the best part of the movie and everything, which is weird because I remember reading the summary for Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor and how they were updating it, and I was like, that's interesting. Because they were trying to market it as like a Mark Zuckerberg type of billionaire now.
Yes, and I agree.
And I was like, that's actually an interesting modern take. Batfleck is going to be terrible, and it's quite the opposite. Hey, do you like the Natalie Portmans in your Marvel movies?
The what? Did you say words in that?
Yeah, I did. Do you like the Natalie Portman in the Thor movies? Do you like her in the Marvel movies?
I feel like this is a loaded question.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, too bad, because she's not in them anymore. She just did an interview, and they asked her, when are you going to be back in the Marvel movies? And she basically said, well, I'm not. And I think some people read this as kind of like a F you to Marvel. And,
oh, no. I mean,
but I think the internet read that as...
Sure. Well, I was going to say no more than Ed Norton's, I mean, I think he was like, this just isn't what I wanted. I mean, depending on who you ask, which side you ask. But Ed Norton's description of that, of what happened is, well, I'm a huge fan of the Hulk, so I wanted to make a Hulk movie. I did. And now it's on to do something else.
Right.
And that was always his intention.
Yeah. This is more of a, we did this, and they don't really have a use for me anymore, which really is kind of true. I mean, the Jane Foster that they've created in the MCU, I don't want to say is useless, but is kind of useless.
She's not useless. I will say, though...
She's kind of... I mean, okay.
I will say, though, Marvel has, out of character, made very poor decisions with all of their female roles.
Yeah.
I was going to say they're
the supporting
female roles, but they're all supporting.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that, and
they were all conspicuously missing in Age of Ultron as well.
Right. And also, granted, the Thor movies were pretty early on.
Yeah.
In the Marvel cinematic universe.
The first one was like the second or third,
It was like the third movie. We went Iron Man...
Captain America?
No, it was Iron Man, Hulk...
Oh.
Iron Man 2 Thor? Captain America?
Could have been. Why not?
Sure, it is now. From now on...
That's our timeline.
But it was somewhere around there. It was back in Phase 1. I think that the problem with her character was that she's supposed to be this really genius scientist, and...
A woman?
Come on, man. Oh, it's our first,
is that what you're trying to say?
First show, and you've already sunk me. You bastard. No, I think the problem is that kind of the same thing that they say about the Marvel villains is that they don't really have anything to do. Yeah. She's supposed to be this smart, and she kind of plays a part. She plays a good part in the middle of the movie, and then by the end, she just plays the damsel in distress.
I'll be honest.
She's a scientist. Like, she could easily be helping in some sort of way.
Well, and I'll be honest, that movie has, and this is an unpopular opinion, before Iron Man 3, I think Thor 1 was the worst movie they had made.
I would agree.
I think
with
it's
that.
Their second worst movie. I think
of
Iron
all
Man,
time?
Yeah, so far. I think Iron Man 3 is their worst one.
Worse than Incredible Hulk?
I liked Incredible Hulk.
I do too.
Aww. See, I really like Ed Norton in that role, and not necessarily because of him, but it's the first Hulk movie we've gotten that is not a Hulk movie, it's a Bruce Banner movie. And that's what the Hulk should be. It's a Bruce Banner story. I don't care that there's this thing smashing the city. Right. I want to see how it affects the human being underneath it. Right. And I think they did that really, really well. And it wasn't an origin story. It was their first one, and it's one of their first ones. Right. I think it might be their only one. Their only character they have right now that hasn't had an origin story in the MCU. And it started with, well, I blew up a bunch of stuff. I killed a bunch of people. Now I'm trying to learn how to manage this. And it's really interesting to watch a guy, just a regular dude, trying to not be motivated by his morals and his sense of duty and to not help people because he's going to blow up and destroy the city.
In essence, he's trying not to be a hero.
Right, yes. He's trying to not be the Hulk, which is really interesting. And he can't stop it.
That's why, I mean, that's
chemically.
why... Yeah, it's actually why I really... And some people think this line is stupid, and I actually thought it was the best sum up of who the Hulk is as a character is in Avengers, when he has that line where he says, "No, you don't get it. I'm always angry."
Sure.
And I'm like,
yeah.
that makes more sense
Yeah.
to me than like a guy who is fine all of the time, and then you slap him across the face or you scuff his pumas, and now all of a sudden he just grows into a big green monster.
Right.
But the problem, it's like, how do you craft another... I mean, you did one. You did the quintessential Hulk story with the Incredible Hulk, which is like Hulk on the run, and then the military's trying to get it. But that's the tricky part, is like, how do you make that into another movie, which they have no plans to do. But, I mean, do you think we'll ever see another Hulk movie?
I think that's up to Ruffalo.
Really?
Yeah.
You think it's up to...
I think they will offer him one, and he will either do it or not. Because he's got a lot of other stuff that he does.
Yeah.
Not only in film, but like humanitarian work.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of stuff on his plate. And I forget if it was Feige or the Russo brothers or somebody was asked about that, and they said, "Oh, most certainly there will be a Hulk movie." But I think it's going to be up to, because he was already not old, certainly, but and compared to the rest of the guys, I think he's a little younger. But for the work he's doing, for the movies he's doing, if they wait 10 more years, is Bruce Banner going to be 50? You know,
well,
that's something they can do.
Well, but the benefit of him is that he doesn't have to go into a suit.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have it slightly lesser to an extent with Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man, because he goes into a big iron suit, which is pretty protective.
Sure.
You lose it completely with Captain America and Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Sure.
But with the Hulk, you can have Ruffalo around for the next 15, 20 years and do, you know, if you don't want him to age too much, you just do a little bit of de-deathifying. Or you know what I mean? And then at a certain point, when the Hulk is supposed to show up, you're just like, all right, Mark, step out of frame.
All right, so I agree to an extent, but at the same time, you can't all of a sudden see a movie and then Ruffalo is younger than he was the last time you saw him in a movie.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem with these movies, is that when you see someone for the first time, or if it's in a flashback, it works.
Right.
But when you're going over a whole arc, this is an episodic tale.
Yeah, no, I'll grant you that. But I think you have a little more time with a Hulk movie than you do with other movies. Because there's not... Well, I think I'm an idiot too, so at least on that we agree.
You know, it's funny, Renner, you mentioned like Hawkeye and not having to be in a suit, but did you hear that recently he said that he really hoped his character was going to die in Age of Ultron?
I mean, he and the rest of America, I think.
How dare you?
I love Hawkeye. Everyone got on Hawkeye's ass about this, and I was like, I actually really loved Age of Ultron for what they did with Hawkeye. I don't know what the beef is with I almost said Hawkeye. I don't know what everyone's problem is.
The beef with Hawkeye, and I think it's the same on all points, but they word it differently, is that Marvel, the same problem people have with Romanoff, with Black Widow, that they haven't really done anything with either of them, because he's kind of annoying.
But the last movie, they just gave him like an entire purpose.
They shoehorned a family in. They didn't give him an arc. They didn't really give him any character development. They just said, "Oh, by the way, he's married." Why did he even go to his family?
That's a total character development. What are you talking about?
Why did he even go to that house? Why did he risk his family's life to put them in danger so that these assholes who he doesn't even really seem to like can stay in his shed? Why didn't he just send them 3 miles down the road in a barn where they can hang out?
Wait, so you're just gonna leave the Avengers in a barn?
Yes.
What? What are you insane? Listen,
No.
First of all, the inclusion of the family was not, in my opinion, shoehorned in.
It certainly was, because they almost removed it. Disney didn't even want it in. So it means that you can take it out and the story does not change.
Yeah, but I think the plot line does not change, but I think the story is enriched by including that in. And you are giving that character depth. You're giving him a whole rich backstory, which they needed because it was in juxtaposition to what was going on with Cap and Iron Man. They're fighting about being a hero, and they go there, and it's like, look, there's this whole other aspect of our lives that this guy has somehow figured out that we just have ignored completely.
So there's
a human element here.
So that's character development for Captain America and Iron Man. They did not give character development to Hawkeye because
They do too.
he does not get a backstory. He gets a present day wife and kids.
Right, but obviously, if he has a wife and kids, there's a backstory that at some point they got married and had kids.
Right, but we also know that he has been alive for the past 40 years. That doesn't mean that, we've just established that he has a history of some kind with this person. We don't know what it is. We don't know how they got to that point. We've established that he has a past.
Yes.
Which we already knew.
Right, but we didn't know it was this type of past.
We just also know it comes with this person.
Yeah.
That changes nothing.
No,
here's
that's
what
not
they
true.
did. Here's what they did. They added an eject button to Hawkeye so that he can say, you know what, I'm going to go home with my family. I don't want to do this anymore. In case Renner backs out or in case they get sick of him. That's what they did.
I can't argue with that. That is definitely a good eject button. But it also gave him, I think it gave him more of a purpose in the group. Because then you have, close to the end of the movie, when he has that talk about, no matter what happens when you step out of this doorway, you're an Avenger. When he's talking to the Scarlet Witch, it shows what his purpose in the group is. Like, Iron Man's not going to give that speech. Captain America might give that speech, but he's not going to give it in that type of a way. It's
going to have a different purpose.
It's going to have a different purpose.
Yeah.
And his purpose is you see now, like, he is probably more of the soul of the group than anyone actually realizes.
I agree. I think we would have gotten that without the family.
But I think if we didn't have the family, you would have gone, really? That guy? That guy's the soul of the family? Like, it wouldn't have made sense. But knowing he has a family and knowing he's someone who has to take care of a group of people and support them.
No, because again, we didn't see a backstory. We saw people that he lives with. And we presume that he loves them very much. It's the same problem that, like, Attack of the Clones has, where, like, we're showing you that they're, like, rolling around in the ground, and so you see they love each other very much, but there's, like, nothing really there because they're on screen for, like, 10 seconds.
There's a lot things wrong with Attack of the Clones that Avengers doesn't even touch.
Sure.
So.
But my point is that I don't mind the fact that there is this sort of family shoehorned in, but it did feel sort of shoehorned into me. And I feel like even if you remove the family, that monologue actually makes more sense and has more power, because now it's coming from sort of out of nowhere. It's from this guy, and he's like, yes, look, we have shit we have to fight for, you know what I mean? Like, once you step through that door, you're an Avenger, like me. What's next?
I think you're an insensitive prick. That's what I think. Well, listen, here's the thing. He'll probably die in the next Avengers movie.
Why?
Because there's going to be too many characters. And do you know why, Andrew? Because the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to show up in the Avengers. That has been confirmed.
In Infinity War?
Yeah,
of course they are.
I mean, we all knew this, but thanks a lot, Vin Diesel, for being our source on this. Because Vin Diesel can't stop running his damn mouth.
How did he even know?
He knows everything, apparently.
He has 3 lines.
I know.
3 words.
This is the thing about Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel, I don't know how he keeps getting cast, because in anything, really, because he can't keep his damn mouth shut. Every single time he has a meeting with someone, he just goes on Twitter and he spouts it off in a video.
Look, man, his voice career is...
It's epic. It's amazing.
It's the one you want.
It is.
Superman.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
I am Groot.
Yeah, that's all you need. And it's kind of impressive, because I think if I had his voice career, I would not be nearly as fit as he is. Because I would just let myself go. I mean, you make $1 billion just saying 3 words. You're like, well, I never have to go to a gym again.
I think I would actually get as fit as he is, because what else are you going to do with your time?
Yeah.
You're in the booth for 10 minutes.
You're going the prison route. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. So Avengers, I mean...
Well, didn't the Russo brothers already release, like, a whole map of all the characters that are going to be in it? Oh, no, RDJ did. Robert Downey Jr. released, like, a whole thing of, I think, actors who are going to be in the movie, like, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but it's not official until Vin Diesel says it, okay? It's not official. That's the rule.
Until Riddick says it.
That's the rule of Hollywood.
Okay.
Is that unless Vin Diesel tweets it out in a weird, cryptic video...
Was he in Doom, the movie?
No, you're thinking of The Rock, who is in Fast and Furious with Vin Diesel, who is in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Get it there.
Who is in Avengers... With
wait, no. Who is in Guardians of the Galaxy with... Get me to someone who is in X-Men First Class.
First Class?
January Jones.
Okay. Avengers... No, Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy. Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper was in American Hustle with Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence is in
First Class with Kevin Bacon.
Excellent.
Nice.
End of podcast.
Forever.
Forever.
What else
One
you got?
and done. That's it. Yeah, so they're going to be in Avengers. There's really no surprise there.
You know what? I've actually got a piece of Guardians news.
Okay.
It's not going to translate well through podcast, but
Right.
James Gunn, I think, released some...
That would be the director?
Well, yes. Not Sean Gunn, not to be confused with. But James Gunn, I believe, was the one who released a piece of concept art.
Ooh,
from the
yeah.
second
I'm
movie,
looking at it right now.
where
Look at
they're-
this
they're-
baby.
they're-
Look at that. Oh, it's so good.
It's pretty great. Everyone should right now...
Just
what is-
Google Guardians of the Galaxy.
Penis monster? What is that?
Yeah, that'll probably... You know what? I don't even care if that's the image that comes up. Just everyone right now, Google Guardians of the Galaxy penis monster.
Tell us what happens.
Tell us what happens.
Comment, email,
Yep.
Twitter, tweet.
Absolutely.
Don't send us pictures.
Don't send us the pictures.
No, I just want...
describe it graphically.
I want as long of a novelization as
Yeah,
possible.
use
about
multiple
every
tweets
picture.
if you have to. That's totally fine. Send it directly, care of Andrew Dunn. Don't send it to me.
I will read every single one.
And we'll give out his work address so that it
Genius.
goes right to his work computer. No, this thing looks amazing. Now, granted, it is production art.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this even a guarantee that this is gonna be in the
That
movie?
this is going to be in the movie? Absolutely not. Though I gotta say, looking at this thing, okay, if you haven't Googled it, it looks like a giant space monster with a lot of tentacles. It looks like a giant space octopus, I guess, with the head of a...
Well, it's got many tentacles. It's got like a T-Rex head.
Yeah.
And it has the body of a hairless mole rat.
with arms, with tentacles.
Well, with tentacles. Yeah, we already said that.
And multiple rows of teeth, like a
Yes.
shark.
Yeah.
Or a thing that has... Or no, what's the thing in Jedi? The pit.
Oh, the Sarlacc pit.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, it looks like
the
a
mouth
Sarlacc
of a
pit.
Sarlacc
Yeah.
pit.
Which also has tentacles.
Yeah, but that comes out of the mouth.
Yeah. It's
so
not.
you
It's not a
don't-
perfect analogy.
I think those are like tongues. We don't have to get into it. Point is, it's pretty sweet. I mean, you've even got adolescent-sized Groot there at the bottom, which looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's got
so
legs.
I'm gonna assume, looking at this, if they spend the money to make this monster, even just CGI, it's gonna be in the movie. I can't imagine it's not.
Well, but this isn't CGI. This is just
No,
character
this
art.
is concept. What I'm saying is, if they get to the shooting of
yeah.
Guardians 2, which they've already been doing.
Well, this could also just be a sort of a placeholder monster. They could come up with a better idea.
Yeah,
of what
yeah,
they
yeah.
think
But
they have to
whatever,
put in place.
I have a feeling if this makes it to production,
Yeah.
it's in the movie. Because you're not going to spend all that money on it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Unless it sucks.
Unless it sucks. Which really, I would predict they'd have to try.
You better knock on wood real quick.
They'd really have to try to DC
Yeah.
this up if
Yeah.
they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of DCing it up, we got some DC news. You want some DC news?
I would love some DC
I
news.
know you love some DC news. Is
it awful?
I mean, the thing with everything DC, it's gonna look great and then be awful later. We could start with Justice League. Henry Cavill tweeted a picture. I don't know if you saw this. Superman is gonna be back in Justice League. That's not the surprise. The surprise
Yeah.
is he's gonna be in black, which is a big thing because that was in the infamous Death of Superman storyline.
Now, we still don't know.
Right.
We just know that he tweeted.
Yeah, again, this is the picture here. The first time I saw this, I was like, oh, well, that's just a filter. But I feel like that would be pointless. Like, why tweet a filtered black and white picture of something that's going to be in color later? You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Is this supposed to be... Did he say anything with it?
Not that I know of. Not that I saw. I don't know if it,
So he
if
just
he did.
picked-
He didn't say anything specific.
So he just tweeted a picture of a thing
Yeah.
that's black.
That's black. So it looks... I think he noted that this is his costume.
Okay.
So Superman is going to be in black. I know that was a big debate. Are we going to see a black Superman suit?
Man, they are moving fast.
I mean, how much of the Death of Superman storyline do you think they're going to actually try and shoehorn into
Honestly,
this?
I don't care. I just want them to take their time. That's what Marvel had going for it from the beginning. Every character had their own movie. Some had more than needed.
Yes.
Like Iron Man.
Yeah.
And they really, but some had the perfect amount and are still working on it, like Captain America, which everyone has been a home run.
Right.
And they really were able to, like, sculpt these characters out of these places, and I'm just... Like, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Batman vs. Superman, keep listening anyway and suck it up. But he dies at the end.
Yeah. He does.
Which is right out of the gate. Two movies is not enough.
I will say I was really shocked by that ending. Not because I was like, oh man, I'm so enthralled by this, but more like, really? We're here already?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't care about this character this much.
When I heard, exactly. And when I heard about it, I was like, wow, they have some balls. And then when I found out that he's not actually dead because the ground rumbles or whatever, when it zooms in on his grave, I was like, oh, they have none. Great.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, do it. Keep him dead for a long time.
Keep him dead for
4 movies.
If you're doing 2 Justice League movies, which they said they were and now they're not, but they probably are, but it probably won't be Zack Snyder if the first one sucks, then keep him dead for both movies. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's your movie.
Well, I would say, too, his introduction coming back from death should be filmed. He should walk into a silo, and I don't mean on camera. I mean, when he goes to film this scene, it should be one scene at the end of a movie. It should be a post-credit scene.
Right.
And he should walk in his jeans and t-shirt into a silo with a duffel bag, close and lock that shit, change him into his costume, film what you need, have him change back out, and leave with his duffel bag so no one knows what he's doing or why he's there, and then in the next movie, he's there.
Yeah.
That's how you do that.
Yeah.
And don't let him do
I'm going to make a prediction that
it's going to suck.
That it's going to be terrible. And I say that because I like being right at predictions. And it's a lock. No, I'm going to make a prediction that says this is like a passing costume. Like you see him in it like 5 seconds. This is not going to be his new costume. This is not going to be like for half the movie or whatever. I'm going to predict they like open up some chamber or some Kryptonian pod that he's in. That
isn't he in the ground?
He is, but then the ground rumbled, and I don't know what that means because then they went to black, and so who knows? In the storyline, in the comics, what happens is that Superman dies at the hands of Doomsday, and then at some point Lex Luthor goes into his tomb in Metropolis because he wants to clone Superman. Also, I think to see that he's really dead, and he opens up the thing, and his body is gone. And what you find out is that he's now been regrown in a Kryptonian. It has been so long since I've read this, but and it goes on forever. But this is how you get the 4 Superman, and one of them is the Eradicator because he's a clone of. No, he is a Kryptonian invention. I think in case Superman dies, someone's going to be pissed off that I'm getting this all wrong. But it's something about they cultivate something and basically like revive Superman again.
Right.
But his Kryptonian robots in the Fortress of Solitude do it.
Sure.
So what I'm predicting is that this suit is they're gonna open something up somewhere, and he's gonna be in that suit because it's the suit that regenerates him.
And it's gonna cut to him in his old apartment changing into his Clark Kent clothes.
Yeah, and then getting into a tub fully clothed. It's a weird, awkward scene. But it's not going to be like he's going to be just flying around with this new black suit and he's going to be emo Superman. They tried that in Spider-Man 3. Yeah, and that didn't work out so well. I'm interested to see it. I think the great debate is, will he have a mullet like he did after the death of Superman?
Probably not. He might. I could see it with like sort of long wavy hair, not long,
right,
but,
right.
You know, like shoulder, maybe
like
above
a nice
shoulder length.
Yeah, like a nice Johnny Depp type of.
Maybe, but he usually has it like very close to his head. I see like, you know how he was in Man of Steel where he was like very burly and his beard was out and his hair was crazy.
Yeah,
something like that where it's a little longer.
Do you think they go? Do you think they go bearded Superman?
They might. I mean, they've already done it.
I think that would be a bold choice.
Why? They already did it.
I don't know. I just think it would be interesting.
No, they already did it. Do something different and do it right.
They're not... Listen, they're not going to do anything different. If we've learned anything from the past 3 movies, they're not going to do anything different, no matter how badly we ask. They say that they're going to, and they're just not. I
swear to God, if the Joker turns out to be Jason Todd, I'm going to murder somebody.
I mean, David Ayer...
I know.
I
know.
However you say his name.
Smith.
David Smith.
We've already established.
Yes.
It's David Smith.
If we don't know how to say a name on this podcast, we've already established that the name now becomes Smith. So David Smith, director of Suicide Squad, said that it's not. Could be a red herring. I'd rather it be Jason Todd.
I would rather it be Jason Todd until they tell us it's not.
What does that even mean?
So they've told us it's not.
Yes.
So I would rather it be Jason Todd.
Okay.
But now that they have said, no, it's not Jason Todd, It better not be. They better not pull a Khan.
They're not. You bet. Yeah.
When we were all like,
Okay,
oh,
fair
it's
enough.
Khan.
Yeah,
And they
okay.
were like, no, it's not Khan. And
That's
we were like,
fair.
oh, that's weird. And then he was like, my name is Khan. And we were like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that.
I would much rather there be silence than someone lying to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you would like them to just pull all commercials for all DC movies ever? Because I feel they're lying to me.
No.
Whenever they give a commercial that makes it look like the movie's going to be good,
No.
which is all of them.
Wah, 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 wah.
Okay. How about that? All right. So speaking of other DC movies that look like they're going to be good, but
And
may turn
probably
out to be
won't.
complete crap. Cyborg reported to be in the Flash movie. Did you hear this?
No.
Do you care about this?
I would be very surprised if he wasn't. I mean,
Yeah.
they every movie they've had, they've shoehorned in another hero.
Right, but I mean, it doesn't really say how much he's going to be in it. I don't think it's going to be a Civil War level, but I like to think that it's going to be more than a passing cameo.
What do you mean Civil War level?
Like
Spider-Man?
no, like Iron Man. Like Captain America's Civil. That's a Captain America
Oh,
movie.
that the two of them would
The two of
fight.
them are pretty much equal billing,
Sure.
is what I'm saying. But
Nah, he'll be in it for a second.
You think just like a minute? Like a minute?
Maybe.
Just like, hey,
Like-
remember that time we did a thing?
Like Ezra Miller in Suicide Squad, I think.
Yeah.
I think like the Flash was in Suicide
See,
Squad.
I would rather be slightly larger.
Which is why I think it's not going
Give
to
him a
happen.
full scene.
I agree. It won't happen.
Because it's going to be, but it might, because it's going to be after Justice League.
No.
And you're already going to have seen these characters together for a full 2 hours.
Again, you're thinking logically
I am
as a
thinking
person who
logically.
wants to create an interesting story with
Yeah.
character development. And
that's
not
true.
just a movie for the fans.
Which I would argue they're not even doing
They're
yet.
trying, though.
They're trying. Oh, they're trying so much, aren't they? Too hard. Hey,
What?
you know what else happened?
What else happened?
Suicide Squad.
Sucked.
Third straight weekend at the box office
With
as
$0.
number one. As
What?
number one in America.
Against what?
Well, that's a fair point. But that's my way of saying, hey, Andrew, Suicide Squad happened. Segue. Look what I did there. People are going to think we're slightly late. I don't care.
They're right.
Suicide Squad happened. I saw it a little later because I was doing other things.
And this is the first time we have spoken since we have both seen it.
So I want to talk about it now. Why? Because I gotta get it out. I gotta talk about this thing because I had high hopes for this. I really did. I thought the trailers looked amazing.
There's mistake number one.
Yep, there it is. I thought the trailers were fantastic. I thought they were. They looked like they were going in a better direction.
sure
I
did.
trusted the director
Yep.
that they put in charge of it because his name wasn't Zack Snyder.
Right? Director David Smith.
David Smith, and it just, I mean, what did you, how, I can't even, words can't even form.
How does one describe a 10-car pileup?
That is true. That is true. Do you start from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top?
Or
really?
from what it looked like at the end.
Yeah, really. The problem with this movie,
The problem.
here's the thing. I think the problem with this movie, all of the problems of this movie stem from one large glaring issue.
No one knows how to make a good movie.
Yes, and they should just please stop trying. No, I think the problem with this movie is this. None of these characters should be in this situation. None of them should be in this situation.
Elaborate.
Okay, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, good on you. Good choices. But if you have seen this movie, sorry. If you haven't seen this movie, spoiler, here's the quick plot. Amanda Waller, after Superman has died, decides, hey, what if Superman didn't actually have our American values and decided to go rogue and just kill everyone? We'd have no one to compete with him. And so we need to take a group of villains and band them together as a force that we could use for ourselves. That's roughly the idea. And then shit goes down, and they have to actually put this idea in play. And it's kind of like a test run for this group of villains that they've banded together, right? I'm roughly right on this.
Yeah, sure. Roughly.
right.
There's one
There
part
are
that I have a problem with that you gave it the benefit of the doubt, which is that I don't think they ever explained that this is a test run. They were just like, oh, it's time, this thing, the reason that we put them all together, it's time to do it.
Yeah.
But if you watch watch the beginning, they're saying it's to kill Superman, but that's
right.
That's not what they're using them for.
No, well, the idea is like that's the situation that she puts forth. Like, what if the next Superman that comes down is not for us? And so they put this group together, and surprise, surprise, something goes horribly awry, and now they have to put the group in the field, and other things go horribly awry. But again, spoiler. So they put together this group, one of which is the Enchantress, which is a mystical witch whom Amanda Waller says she has complete control over, and what a shocker, she has zero control over. And it completely goes awry, she goes rogue, and then we gotta put these people out there. The problem is, none of these people should reasonably be able to defeat this person.
But collectively, their ironclad will.
But collectively, none of these people should be able to defeat this person. Okay, so the villain is a mystical witch.
Right.
Who is building a machine that she never says what it does.
Nope.
And it seems to take an awful while to build. And she seems to make zero headway in making this machine.
Yep.
That was number one. That was like number one for me.
Yep. It's a MacGuffin.
It's clearly a MacGuffin. She says, all these people worship machines, so we're going to build a machine to destroy the world. Never says how it's going to work. Never says exactly what it is.
Magic.
Yep. And right. But if in magic, because here's the other thing. At some point, and I'm kind of darting around here because I'm just processing everything that I've seen. At some point, they even mention a situation started like what was it, like 2 days ago or something?
I don't know. What you're talking
they said like 2 days ago in Midway City.
Oh, when they're
gathering everybody together. Yeah. They had the bomb, and then
they're testing the Enchantress.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. And even before that, the Enchantress released her brother, and he started. So he started that whole thing in Midway City, and then she goes rogue and starts building this machine. But when they're gathering all the villains together at that camp, and they give them their costumes,
right.
Rick Flag is there, and he says something about like 2 days ago in Midway City, something happened. Da 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 da.
Okay.
And I'm like, 2 days ago? What have you just been sitting on this thing for you do nothing for 2 days?
Here's the thing, and what I assumed was the cause of that, and it later proves to not be the case, is that you would assume that Amanda Waller would have to, if she has to get authorization to assemble this party, there must be a lot of red tape to go through to apply that party. There's
a fucking blue light, coming out of a train station. Get your shit together.
I guess, but I would presume they would first send the military. They would try different strategies. They might try to nuke it.
Which is, I'm surprised we didn't have that ending. The classic, there's an atom bomb on its way, let's stop it. But anyway, so, yeah, but I just was like, that's a lot of time to just have a random blue light.
Sure. Well, and I was going to say, too, that, later we find out that Amanda Waller can basically do whatever she wants.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But again, to get back to my original problem with this, is that, okay, so you've got these two magical beings, Enchantress and her brother, who are in this train station, building a machine. First of all, 2 days later, it still looks exactly the same, even though they have magic and they can just do whatever they want. I mean, she can teleport in and out of anywhere at any time. Yeah. And yet it takes her 2 days to build a giant rock machine of undescript power.
That's a good point.
But on top of that, it's like, let's assemble a team to defeat these people. We have an enchanted witch who's spewing blue magic out of a train station. So what we need is Harley Quinn, a human, Captain Boomerang, a human.
I really like that you're actually... See, I was going to say a hooker.
Right.
A guy who throws
an assassin,
knives.
human. A guy who throws...
A guy who shoots things.
Right. Human.
Yeah,
a circus freak, subhuman.
Hey now.
Oh, that's no way to talk about Slipknot.
No.
A guy who can they say can get make knots or something. I know the character from the comics, and they don't really describe what he does vaguely.
He's clearly cannon fodder.
He's clearly there
to show that the thing works.
Yeah, he has 3 lines in the movie, which is another, and I'll get into that in a second. But he's human. Who else is it? Katana, human with a magic sword.
Jake Hernandez, Diablo,
human. Only person with any sort of metahuman power.
I get the feeling that Killer Croc does.
He has increased strength, but he doesn't have like meta-human strength. He's a freak of nature. That's what he is.
Well, I get the feeling that like his agility is probably up higher.
Yeah, it's up higher, but it's not like, again,
not like on the level of a mystical.
Yeah, exactly. Again, not on the level of a mystical source. And then
Rick Flag,
human. Who's very G.I. Joe human.
Yeah.
Did I miss anybody? Because there were only 2 people in this movie, so I could have easily missed the other 6 that they say are in there. They're all human. They're all human. So let's go, let's get all of these people together to defeat magic.
Well, it's possible as well that they don't have anyone better. Like, as far as we've established in the DCU, we haven't seen that there are non-humans.
No, but I think my point is...
Which leads to probably the search for Aquaman and the Flash and Cyborg.
Yeah, but I think my problem with this is that... It's a script issue to me because, say Warner Brothers said, we want to do a Suicide Squad movie. These are the characters we want to use.
Sure.
You can develop any plot you want. Why that? Okay, in the comics, I've talked about this before, that in the comics there's a thing called Justice League Dark. And what Justice League Dark is basically a group of heroes, including the Enchantress, but also made up of Swamp Thing, John Constantine, these more magical and occult-based heroes and characters. This is a story for them. This would have been a great Justice League Dark movie. That would have been really interesting because you're evenly matched.
Sure.
But if you're going to have a group of humans, and I'm all for a Suicide Squad movie because I like the concept, is fascinating, that you have villains and you're forcing them to be good. You can put them into any situation you want. Why would you put them... How do you not look at this situation that you're putting them in and go, they're so
I've got 3
unmatched.
things. 3 things now. 1, they reportedly had 3 weeks to develop a script. Or I think it was 4.
Right.
4 weeks to create a script.
Right.
100 pages.
Right.
That's no time. You have to come up with that on the spot and then start typing it out.
Yeah.
Second, and so that's the one defense I'm going to give it. How are these people even going to fight Superman?
Well, but that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
It's like, so none of these people could defeat...
What I think should have happened...
A fucking 7-Eleven attendant, much
I don't
less...
think the Enchantress was a good choice of a villain. I actually think... Even with the Enchantress on their side, a better choice at a villain would have been Jared Leto's Joker.
So that brings me...
Because he's smarter.
That brings me to another point. Rumor for a long time, and I don't know if this was a fan rumor, if this was something that came out early in development and got leaked and then it got changed in production or something like that, or in script development, but the rumor actually was that the plot of this movie was that they were going to be going after some unknown threat. And then the twist in the movie was going to be that the Joker was who they're going after. And so now you have Harley Quinn, who is signed up for this group. I mean, signed up. She was forced into this group. But she's in this group going after an unknown threat. And then all of a sudden she's going after the person that she would want to be united with. Which I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a great, compelling plot. Because as soon as you put the Joker on screen, whether it's Jared Leto's Joker or anyone's Joker, I think that character comes with so much weight that everyone instantly sits up and goes, ooh, this is interesting. This is a good idea.
Yeah. Except for some of the scenes in this movie. Like, what was up in that club scene?
Yeah, this was a weird Joker. I mean, that's another...
I'll be honest. The Joker I actually really, really like.
Right.
I think they did a great job. I think once they said, here, say these words... And here, this is the point of this scene. Mm-hmm. That's where it sort of fell apart, because I don't think that Joker... I feel like Jared Leto's Joker and the Suicide Squad movie's Joker are 2 different Jokers. That's how
say that one more time.
I feel like Jared Leto's Joker...
Yeah.
And the Suicide Squad movie's Joker are 2 different Jokers.
Yeah, well, I mean, reportedly, they cut a lot of things out.
Right.
What
I'm saying is that I think probably maybe he saw the script, but probably he was just like...
You think he just went...
I think he just was like, these are the choices I'm making to make this an interesting character. And they maybe gave him like outline points where they're like, okay, Harley Quinn, that whole backstory, whatever.
Right.
These people, you don't know these people. This is the kind of Joker we would like you to be.
And
he just went into his cave and did his thing and made a really interesting looking Joker, really strange, unique, all inspired by all the I mean, I can see hints of every other Joker in this Joker, which is really cool. And then he got the script and was like, oh, I don't think my Joker... I mean, I don't know that he thought this. I'm not going to put words in his mouth.
Right.
But I would, having made the Joker that he made, read the script and been like, can you justify these actions for me?
I think I agree with that to an extent. I think what happened was probably he read the script. I think he read an early draft of the script.
Sure.
And then started to build his character.
Yeah.
And went away and then came back. And I think he almost went overboard in the fact that he crafted a character that should be like the lead in a movie.
Or at least the main villain.
Or at least that's what he should be the main lead villain or
although to be fair, the Enchantress had very little screen time as well as the main villain.
Yeah, I mean that's
a little more than Joker, but
right,
not much.
right. But that's the thing is that she's also, I mean, she's not that interesting of a character.
Yeah.
They didn't build her up to be. They didn't build a lot of these people.
She has
up
no
to
real
be
motivation.
No, she doesn't. Yeah, that's another thing is that they don't go into her backstory a lot, which I get. There's a lot of characters, and so we need to like move on at a certain point. But at the same time, we spend a lot of time with Deadshot's character. We spent a lot of time with Harley Quinn's character. We spent
a little bit of time with Diablo.
A little bit of time with Diablo because he turns out
could have used some more. But.
Yeah, but we spent like zero time with pretty much everyone else.
Got a lot of time with Slipknot.
Oh yeah, tons of time. Okay, all right. Now that since you bring him up, let me just rant about this jackass for a second.
Please do.
Okay, so Slipknot in the comics is somebody who's obviously really good with not like he's a kind of a. Sometimes he's portrayed as like a serial killer that uses a noose, and he can make a knot, like any type of knot, and like just easily slip things over people's knot and just kill them. And that's kind of an interesting character to put, especially in this movie. It would fit really well.
Yeah,
the slip knot they build in this, first of all, ties nothing.
Nope.
Okay, uses one rope, but he uses a fucking grappling hook, like,
and it doesn't even work,
and it barely kind of works.
Well, I was gonna say it doesn't even get him out of the situation.
No, it doesn't. It was just so
it's not
weird.
even good enough.
It was just odd because he does it's like he just bought it off of an old Batman yard sale. Is really what it does, because it just like shoots a rope into a building and then jettisons him off, and then he does a weird does it again against another building and then dies. But like. He doesn't. There's nothing about this character that has anything to do with who he actually is.
You know what's crazy? I actually would have preferred if that character were not even in the movie, because I would prefer to not know. Because I was thinking the whole time. I wonder. There were a couple questions I had before Slipknot's head exploded.
Right.
Like, one, are they lying about the bombs?
Right.
Two. When Joker disabled Harley Quinn's, did he disable all
everyone's?
Of them?
Yeah, which that I really wanted to know, and it kind of went left unanswered officially because they didn't kill anyone else with the bombs. Is what I'm saying.
But they killed Slipknot. I mean, but
they killed him before. Well, yeah, no, I know, and I know that I knew someone had to be cannon fodder. But I wish they hadn't made it so obvious.
That's kind of what I mean, though. I was curious about those, but I would have rather they be left unanswered.
Right. Or save that piece of information for a more dramatic moment of...
Or just never answer. I would have much rather just been like Amanda Waller or whoever, Rick Flag disables all of them. And we don't know if he disabled all of them or if he, quote, disabled them. You know, and didn't actually do anything.
No, that would have been...
disabled.
Yeah, no, that would have been interesting. But instead you got something that was like... so obvious. It was so set up from the
This movie felt like it was made right after The Mummy with Brendan Fraser came out. This movie felt like someone watched The Mummy in 1998 or whenever that was and was like, man, this is going to be a hit, you guys. We've got to jump on this bandwagon and make another movie just like that. That's what it felt like. A bunch of just regular Joes going up against some ancient evil.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
With some shitty-ass CGI from 1998.
Yeah, that's true. And just bad henchmen who just look like a pile of weird ash.
Yeah, exactly. That are easy to go through sometimes really difficult.
Sometimes really, really hard.
Sometimes a bullet won't do it if you're in the military, but if you're Deadshot, that bullet will do it every time.
In fact, it'll go through 5 of them.
It will, and Harley Quinn can just kill him with a baseball bat.
Yeah, it could just and that Louisville Slugger just holds up fine.
So here's my biggest problem.
Okay, go.
With the
yeah, I've been ranting about this a lot.
No, it's fine. So Harley Quinn, specifically.
Okay.
Why is she there? And hear me out, because I know you're already on board. Deadshot, better than a military person. Mm-hmm. Captain Boomerang, I could be convinced, better than a military person.
Sure, absolutely.
Slipknot, could be convinced, better than a military person. Killer Croc, we've seen him take out like 10 guys at
Yep,
once.
good
Great.
for it.
It goes on and on and on. Everybody they've got, I can be convinced, yes, that is
Right.
better than a standard issue, run-of-the-mill military
right.
guy with an AK-47.
Right, okay.
Why is Harley Quinn there?
That's a fair point. Yeah, because her only ability,
She has a gun and a bat.
No, is to be a psychopath, which is really the opposite of what you would ever want in something like this.
Yeah, she'll just run off and her
all
head will
you are,
explode.
all she is an X factor in this.
Or,
if anything, she's the one who is most likely to just get her head blown off within 5 seconds of getting out of that
here's the
chopper.
other thing. The only thing I can glean from it, because for most of them, you're like, okay, Diablo, they're like, we saw you do this thing. You've got these powers.
Yep,
Great.
totally
Killer Croc,
makes sense
You
he's
get
in
a
the
whole
movie.
bunch of stuff. And then the only thing that is really ever said about Harley Quinn is that she's really attractive.
Yeah.
Which is the only character description we get.
Which, unless your main villain is a magical frat boy, doesn't really serve any purpose.
No, sure doesn't.
And it sure as hell isn't going to work on the Enchantress, who is the same type of attractiveness as Harley Quinn. Which, by the way, let me just also side note on the Enchantress. There was a thing. There were a couple articles when the costume first came out. The first images of the Enchantress costume came out, and there were a lot of people saying like, why do we have to dress a woman up like this?
Yeah.
And part of me was like, whatever. And part of me was like, yeah, okay, I understand. Yeah, absolutely. I was watching this movie, and at some point I went, the first costume she has when she's still under Amanda Waller's control totally makes sense that it's kind of a slavish, sexist costume. Because she is someone who is, if you have that heart, if you have that, she has been in control of.
Why does that change her clothes?
What do you mean? Why does that change her clothes?
Why does someone having her heart and being in control of her change her clothes?
Because you can logically, she would probably be under the control of men. And
she's under the control of Amanda Waller.
No, at this point, yes, in present. I'm saying she's been around for ages, and throughout the ages, if you've had control of the then chances are she was in ancient times in control of a king of some sort.
Sure.
So it makes sense having that kind of slavish, sexist costume.
Yeah.
But when she is in control, you know what I mean? When she's in the train station, she still has this she does have this really sexist looking costume, and I'm like, give her a full dress.
I'm nearly certain as well that she said that she ran the world, basically.
Yes, they did. Yeah, she did. But I don't think that. I don't know. They don't really give a whole lot of backstory with her either. But you get the feeling that at certain points she's been in.
She was mostly in control.
She was mostly in control. But I also feel like at some points she was being controlled by someone.
All right, so I'm gonna go through a list of things.
Okay.
One, it's convenient that bomb that they left down there is waterproof.
It's also convenient that I had an issue with the bomb too, and it's the waterproof thing is another point that I didn't even think of. 2, you put a 2-second charge on it.
It was 3.
No, it was 2.
It started at 3. When you see it go to 2, it's after the first second.
Okay. Even so, they were like, there's a 3-second charge on it, and what she immediately, which I understand thinking that she's in control. I totally get that. So it's like 3-second charge because you can baff in and baff out, right?
Yes.
But she immediately takes the bomb, hits it,
and
throws it back to Rick Flag, and bolts. And I'm like, 2, 1, boom, nothing happens.
See, I asked the same question to my girlfriend who I saw it with, and she said, well, there was clearly a way to turn it off.
Right, but if you watch... No, first of all, why would you do that to a bomb? With a 3... Why? Just why? Like, if you're setting a bomb, you're setting it to go off, why would you set, I snooze button on it?
Well, no, I imagine the bombs that they manufacture probably have switches that turn them off.
Right, but on a 3-second charge, because she throws it at the guy, she throws it at Rick Flag, he catches it, she baffs out, and you see him kind of jiggle with it.
Yeah.
But you never see him actually doot. There's no moment.
Well, I also have a feeling
that just blew him up.
Right.
Why is he not
I also
dead?
have a feeling that scene was written into the script.
There were also many times when I asked, why is he not dead? About Rick Flag. Also about everyone else in this movie. Listen.
But
anyway, go on.
So that bomb, that scene...
Also, I asked that about myself about halfway through the movie.
That scene was clearly written before so they wrote that scene and they were like, yeah, it's going to explode. So he's going to throw it and jump to the side and it's going to explode or whatever. That was what was supposed to happen in that scene. And then they got to the end and they were like, okay, so a bullet can't kill the Enchantress.
Okay.
Because Deadshot can't kill it. Making fire kill it would be too easy because Diablo could just flame her and that would be it. So that can't do it. Because all these people's, their powers... All these people. Their powers are very simple, and they have a lot of it, right? So, like, he has a lot of bullets.
Yeah.
Diablo has a lot of fire.
Yeah.
Like, they're... So there's got to be something that is bigger than all of that they can use. What can they use? Maybe the bomb from the beginning?
The bomb.
That's got to be it, right? So they were like, so we got to rewrite that scene. So how about she still throws it at him, but maybe he turns it off or something. We can fix that in editing. They already shot it.
If that's true, then I like how they assume that a bomb that explodes once is more powerful than a man who has an unlimited supply of fire.
Which brings me to my next point.
Okay.
My next problem with this movie.
Yes.
This movie suffers greatly from a problem that a lot of action movies suffer from, especially the action fantasy genre. It happens in Iron Man 3 as well, which is... We can't figure out a way to kill this thing. How do we kill it? Oh, I know. A bigger version of the same thing we've tried 1,000 times already.
Yeah.
So Iron Man, for example, in Iron Man 3 is blasting people with the Iron Man thing.
Right.
And it's not working because they've got Extremus, so they're healing.
Right.
So he uses his chest one instead, which I presume is the same thing but slightly more powerful.
Sure.
And it kills them.
Right.
So here, we have people shooting them and covering them in fire and... doing whatever Captain Boomerang does.
Throwing cameras.
Throwing beer cans. Whatever they're all doing.
Can we also just, again, another side note is like, he should have been such a better part of that movie.
Well, no, okay, yes, but all of them should have. So Will Smith and Margot Robbie needed less time. Everyone else needed a little more.
Yeah.
And most of that is for when you're setting up a movie like this. Every rendition of The Seven Samurai has done this, including The Magnificent Seven. I imagine the remake of The Magnificent Seven, including damn Bug's Life by Pixar. Every single movie has done this well. That has more than 3 or 4 characters. Reservoir Dogs did it. You set up each character individually, no matter how long it takes, so that you establish why they're there and why we care about them.
Yes.
You got to do that from the get-go, including Slipknot, even if you're going to blow
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we spent... you instantly
He wasn't even there from the beginning. He popped out of a car.
Right. And like a weird Hannibal Lecter... Yeah, I mean, you knew instantly where all of the characters ranked. Because Deadshot got like a 15-minute intro. Harley Quinn got like a 15-minute intro.
And Captain Boomerang got a pink unicorn fetish thing.
Which, again, I actually, like, I read, they had the little
in his
things.
dossier.
Yeah, and I loved that. I read that, I was like, that's actually
And
hilarious.
then there was a throwback to that.
And there's one throwback to it, and I'm like, no, like, put that in more. Like, that's actually really funny. Let's do
hilarious.
that. But
and it's never seen again.
again.
So there's that problem, which is they're shooting and shooting, nothing happens. But this bomb from under the ground is enough, I guess, to kill one of them.
Yeah.
Here's the next problem. They do the one bomb, they kill the brother, and then somebody throws a second bomb into the machine that the Enchantress is making.
Yep.
Deadshot has to shoot it with his Deadshot. Where did that second bomb come from? Where did the second bomb come from? Why didn't they use that bomb the first time?
Oh shit, where did that second bomb come from?
Where did it come from?
Damn it.
No one mentioned it. Why didn't they use it the first time? Nope. No one mentioned it.
Nope. Are you?
Yes. Because I paid very close attention, and I looked, and it looks like it might have been wrapped around someone. It looks like an old socket set that you can roll up. You know what I mean? But it's in 3 layers, and they just sort of hurl it.
Yeah.
I think Rick Flag throws it.
No, Killer Croc, because Killer Croc needs a purpose.
He's not back yet, though.
No, he is, because
Already?
they use... See? This is what I'm talking about. It's just characters all over the place with no purpose. Okay, so they have the bomb underneath the sewer that he's like...
Sort of puts there.
No, that's right. And this is the other problem. That's where he comes from. He goes down into the sewer.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
They're swimming. He doesn't even set off the bomb.
No, some other guy does.
Yeah.
Some other guy blows his own face off.
Blows his own face off. And Killer Croc then presumably
Climbs up through the hole?
climbs up through the hole or swims back out again.
That would be a long walk, dude.
No, because he lives in the sewers.
Right, but the
And
walk
we're
around.
just visiting.
I'm just saying the walk around.
Not if he does that awesome crocodile scamp that he did. No, I think he comes up through the hole. Let's just say he comes up through the hole.
Whatever. It doesn't answer my
Let's
question.
fix their problems for them.
It still doesn't fix the problem.
No, it doesn't fix the problem at all.
have
We're
no
never
idea
going
where
to
that
fix
bomb comes
the
from.
problem is
Here's more. There's more of them.
this movie happened.
There's more problems.
Okay.
The Enchantress, correct me if I'm wrong. Not wrong, but if you didn't glean this from the Enchantress in this movie,
Okay.
I presume,
Okay.
based on her actions and how they affect the other characters, that she can read their minds.
Yeah. I mean, she does that thing where she projects their fantasies.
And she sort of talks to them about their fantasies, like
Yeah.
in her head.
Which, by the way, can I just say, Harley Quinn's fantasy, fascinating part of the movie. I actually really enjoyed that part of the movie.
I think that should have been the worst part of the movie. I think that should have been the worst part of the movie.
Why?
Because it's easy. Yes, of course, it's a regular Jared Leto, and she's a regular Harleen Quinzel.
Right.
Like, that should be the most obvious
Right.
part. The rest of it should be filled with richness and character. But yes,
I see what you're saying. I see what
But
you're
I
saying.
agree.
It stood out. Yeah, the reason it stood out because it was actually a good part.
Because it's fine.
It's
yes,
but yeah.
exactly.
It's actually a good part in what could be a great movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So back on track.
Which is more than we can say about the plot
Any
of this
this.
movie.
So I think from that we can assume that
Mm-hmm.
she can read their minds. One, why does she not know Harley Quinn is lying to her when she steps up and says, "I'll join you"? Why does she not say,
okay.
"You are about
Yep.
to hit me in the face with that baseball bat,"
Yes.
or whatever
Yes.
she ended up using?
Okay.
So that's the first thing.
Absolutely.
The second thing,
Yep.
why does the Enchantress give a single flying fuck if Harley Quinn wants to join her?
Yeah. Oh no.
All those characters,
Who cares? What
some
do you care?
random lady with a bat is like, "I'll help you take over the world." See?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. That's a great point. I'm pretty sure I felt that point when I was watching the movie. It's hard to tell because at some point I just went emotionally numb. But yes,
The last 30 minutes of this movie makes no sense.
maybe she thought she would be good at heavy lifting of rocks because apparently she had made no headway on building this giant rock machine that she was building. So
Yeah, but
she
look,
needs
she has no muscle. Neither of them have any muscle.
Listen, I mean, she's desperate because, as you can see, she's been working on this damn machine for a week and a half now.
So those are my main issues.
Can't get it done.
Here's some more problems. You ready?
Yep, let's just fly them out. Just fling them out.
They evacuate most of the city.
Yep.
There's a thing that says, like, the city's evacuated, everybody out.
Sure.
Obviously, there's some people still in there because the Enchantress has
Because they
some...
can't Man of Steel it.
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But the Enchantress has these people that she's turning into rock lobsters or whatever they are.
Yes.
Why is Amanda Waller still there?
Why does she need... Well, I think...
Why is she still there?
Yeah.
Question 2. So, okay. So,
wait. Wasn't
All right.
her... Okay, wait. Hold on.
right,
I actually
yeah.
might have
Help
a
me
reason
out.
for this. Wasn't her building, like, right next to the... No, it wasn't. It was close to the
Where the
train
Enchantress
station.
was?
Yeah.
no, not even close.
Not even close?
Not even close.
This was another thing I had about the movie that's kind of related. I'm just going to move on from that point because...
I just want to ask one more quick question.
Well,
It's the last one,
it's kind of-
and it's
okay.
right there. Why does she kill everyone when she leaves? Clearly, they had clearance to be there. She just shoots everyone in the head and walks out.
Yeah. Or did they? Perhaps they had clearance to be there, but not to know what they knew? To be... Okay.
What?
I don't know. Listen, man. I don't...
Because there's
have
already a whole
the
boardroom
answers
of men
for
who
you.
know that.
All
who
right?
know what the Enchantress is. A whole shit ton of people saw her brother just, like, destroy a subway station.
I guess, yeah. Was...
Why did these people have to die?
I don't know.
So what was your point after... was it about geographic locations?
Yeah.
Things?
So,
That makes no
why...
sense.
I mean, I will say this. When they brought that, I think that was supposed to be a big twist when they were like, the office has been here the whole time. And I like blinked and missed it. Like it had no effect on me whatsoever.
I also thought that
like Rick Flag walked into the room and I was like, wait, what? Did we just miss?
Well,
a frame?
I was going to say too. I also felt that the twist that they're saving Amanda Waller was not a good enough twist because they walked in and I was like, oh yeah, sure, and they were like, what is this bullshit?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no.
I actually think that could have been a good twist. I think what happened was I was distracted by the weird Harley Quinn origin portion in the middle of the movie.
Very strange.
I think that's right when it happened. They were going up the stairs and she had the weird
who could say
flashback of her going in the thing,
Who
and
knows?
then the next scene was Rick Flag walks into the room.
Sure.
And I was still stuck on like, why the hell am I watching this right now?
But here's the other problem. They are told their reason is that they have to save a high-profile person from a building.
Right.
Of course it's Amanda Waller. You know, I was like, oh yeah, sure.
Why? I guess my real thing was like, why is her thing in Midway City?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Why
of
there?
All places.
Like, Midway City is now, for those of you who don't know, Midway City is in the comics. It is the home of Starman, if I remember correctly. So it's a made up city that it does have continuity, but it has no significant importance. Like if you put the Office in Gotham City or Metropolis, those are two in the DC world kind of anchors of. They're the equivalent of like a New York.
But you have to destroy them though. You'd have to destroy it.
Right. But you know what I mean? Like, this city holds no significance, and it has...
But that's why it's there. That's my point, is that, like, you've got to kill everyone in the city or evacuate them.
You mean for a plot point?
Right.
I'm just saying, within this
Gotham or
world,
Metropolis.
like, why would you choose that random-ass city to put some random office that conducts, like, the most top-secret...
Well, it's possible
that
that was not its intended purpose. Because I was thinking, like, okay, why is she... my question is more, why is she there? Because my assumption is that whatever data she's collecting is collected over Wi-Fi and not over, landline.
Yeah, no, I exactly, yes.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you there.
Because I was under the impression that they just sort of picked a building that was close to this thing, but you don't need to be close to it.
Right.
Because the whole point is they're monitoring the security cameras.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought at first, too. Is like, oh, she flew in to observe the situation. Then I was like, why? Why bother? Yeah, it's just...
So, great movie.
Fantastic movie. I think, okay, you asked me this question before, and it's, which did I like better, Suicide Squad or Batman v Superman?
I think I said which of the three was your, like, what is your ranking of the three, basically? Man of Steel included.
Yeah, I probably will go. This is gonna. I mean, I'm already loaded that this is a controversial choice, no matter what ranking I go, I guess. But I would probably go Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, Suicide Squad. Best to worst.
Say it again.
Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, Suicide Squad.
Okay.
And here's why. Batman v Superman has some major problems to it. I will readily admit that. I do get it gets a lot of points for just the pure enjoyment factor of getting to see Batman and Superman together on film. I like this version of Batman. I do. Jesse Eisenberg is just a hot mess of messiness. So that is obviously a major fault. But for the most part, I feel that movie stays true to itself in tone. And while the plot is not great, it's not built upon a major plot hole. Suicide Squad, I feel, is built upon a major plot hole, which is none of these characters should be fighting this person. This whole situation doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
You can pick apart the plot of Batman v Superman in little bits, but for the most part, I think it has a solid spine to it. It has a solid...
So it's not built around a major plot hole, but it is certainly built around a major plot point, which is that both of their parents have both of their mothers have the same name.
Yeah, and while I will say that's weak, at least I think it follows through to a certain extent. Again, I'm not saying like any of these movies are fantastic. I don't understand how they can keep repeating this in a really bad way. I think they set the bar... I almost said they set the bar too high, and that's not true. But
well, the bar was already that high from Marvel.
No, yes, but I think they did is try to set themselves apart so much from what Marvel is doing that they went too far to the extreme with Man of Steel, and now they can't take themselves out.
Well, I was going to say, too, these movies would have been fantastic 10 years ago.
Yeah. If they had actually been able to incorporate the Nolanverse into this, I think these movies would be phenomenal because we all accept that the Nolanverse. And so you build upon something that people like, and it kind of extends out from there. Because you try to reboot and start an entire universe based around a hero that is usually light and bright and make him darker, then you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, why? Why would you do that? Why would you take an already established character who's liked and beloved for one specific thing and just tear it from his hands?
Well, I don't think you're... I mean, I applaud the attempt on trying to do something different.
Nah.
You're like, don't do anything different ever again.
Look, when you're starting, just take a thing that already worked and do it.
I think this is the thing. I think they started out with Man of Steel and they're like, all we want to do is separate ourselves from the old Superman movies.
Well, which is funny because you said they're trying to do something the opposite of Marvel, but that's basically what they did with Tony Stark. Because there were a lot of things very, very different. Like they mixed a lot of comics together, and by the end, in the comics, he doesn't drink, which he drinks throughout this entire MCU.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that through most of the comics history, Iron Man is Tony Stark's bodyguard. He's a different guy.
Yes.
In theory, I mean, in
quotes. That's his secret
Yes.
identity. Yeah.
And they, even at the very end, they sort of poke at that and say, well, what? No one's going to believe this. My bodyguard. And then he gets up and he says, the truth is, I am Iron Man. That's they took a different turn that totally altered the way they were moving forward.
Yeah, but what I mean is tonally, again, a lot of people's problem with Man of Steel is that, where's the wonder? Where's the and to me, I saw
I'm missing the hope.
Yeah, and that's what
this symbol means hope.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? Well, that's my thing. Is like one of the reasons I actually liked Man of Steel is like, we've had those movies.
Yeah.
And those movies are going to be around forever. And you really can't, I mean, those are really great seminal movies.
Yeah.
You're not going to out-distance them. So let's try this in a different direction. But if you're going to build an entire universe where this is your brightest guy, then and you're going to darken him, then everybody else has to be 4 shades darker, and it just becomes a hot mess.
Yep.
If Man of Steel had been a one-off of like, this is what we can do. This is a thing we can do.
Yeah.
And now let's start the DC EU, which is what they're calling it. But
it's setting the tone.
But it sets... Yeah. Like, if they had... Again, that's why I say if they had done the Nolanverse, that tone is set dark with Batman. So we can go brighter with Superman. I was going to say. That would be great. We can go darker with Suicide Squad. You know what I mean? We have room to play there. But if your max level is like this...
He's really making a level with his hands.
Yeah. There's nowhere to go but down. It's bigger and smaller. I'm talking about...
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who's the best performance in Suicide Squad?
Jai Courtney.
Yeah?
Yep. I'm going to go Jai Courtney. I think Captain Boomerang... I'm really hoping that the Flash movie is Jai Courtney versus the Flash. I think that would be a great movie. I don't know what the MacGuffin is. I don't know what the plot is, because they are weirdly outmatched.
Well, and he's back in jail.
Yeah, but who cares? It's comics. Whatever.
He uses his boomerangs to get out.
I mean, he's got plenty left because he only used 3 in this movie, so...
Yeah, but one of them had a webcam.
Yeah, I don't know. Which, by the way, logically, if he's throwing that thing and it's got a webcam, it just turns in circles like a police swivel. Siren. I guess. It's just so weird. Okay.
Worst performance.
Oh, God.
Because here's one thing I'll give about Suicide Squad. I think all of the acting is at least pretty good.
Yeah, no. Everyone does a really good job. That's the thing about this movie, is that all the pieces separately are great.
Yeah.
The direction David Ayer Smith took with this movie, it's actually really great.
The writing just makes no sense. Really, the only problem is with the script. In my opinion, and probably the editing.
Yeah. Which
might be because
almost
of the script.
Definitely get an extended cut of this.
So worst performance.
David Ayer. No.
Zinger.
I mean, I want to say Slipknot. He's in it 5 seconds, so that's not really fair to say.
It's not really fair, but it's acceptable. You really think it was a bad performance? That was the worst one?
No.
Like, with what they gave him?
I'm spitballing here, all right? I'm just throwing... I'm going to...
No matter what you say, I'm going to criticize you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can only hope. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go Rick Flag.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
For me, it's a tie between Rick Flag and whatever the guy's name is who played Killer Croc. I don't get it.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like they gave him some lines that could actually be really interesting and funny, maybe.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're
yeah.
just like nothing. There's
Again,
nothing
he's
there.
another one that I'm like, if they give him more to do, I bet you'd
Yeah.
really like him a whole lot more.
Maybe.
What about you? Best performance?
Amanda Waller. Didn't like how they
What?
used. Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
like how they used her, but I believed everything she said.
Yeah.
And when everything went out of control, I saw everything fall through her fingers.
Right. Right.
And her just trying to scoop it back up.
Yeah, I think we like our two picks for the same reason, is that I feel like they're the most accurate to what those characters would actually be.
Sure.
In any given situation.
Okay, but here's a problem with Chai Courtney. Is that his name?
Jai Courtney?
Jai Courtney.
Smith Courtney?
Mate. Smith. He, Captain Boomerang.
Uh-huh.
Why does he come back?
Well, yeah, no, again, that's a thing. It makes no sense.
And that has nothing to do with him. Or his
No,
acting
that
or-
has nothing to do, because the moment before it is
Literally, he leaves.
like the best moment of the movie. It really is the best moment.
Yes,
One,
where he just drops
because it
his
is,
string.
Yeah, because it is
sudden.
A, hilarious.
Extremely sudden.
B, pitch perfect. Like,
Very
didn't
good.
even like
Yeah.
think about it. Just like those are the words I've been waiting to hear.
Yeah.
And I'm gone.
The only reason I'm still here.
Yep. And 3, I was insanely jealous because he got to leave the movie and I didn't.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it makes no sense that he comes back. It makes no sense.
No.
You
know what we needed? We needed a moment where he goes to leave and he goes outside and he checks his coat.
Yeah.
And he's missing something.
Yeah.
And he turns, he's trying to find it, and then he looks over and his pink unicorn has been cut in half in the middle of battle. And he has nothing left to go home for.
I mean, even if they had like Harley Quinn just holding his pink unicorn, and he's like,
as
I gotta
hostage?
go. Yeah, I gotta do this because she's got my unicorn.
Yeah.
But
That'd be good.
nope.
How much money would you pay
Okay.
to see this movie again?
Not as much as I would give not to see it again.
Would someone have to pay you to see it again?
No, I don't think they would have to. No, I would pay to see this movie again.
How much?
I would pay.
What is the maximum you would pay to see it again right now? Not to say that you would never be able to see it again.
Right.
But like if you could pay to see it again, that you could
In
stop
this
this
moment.
podcast,
Done.
turn around, and there's a big screen, how much would it cost?
$3.
That's more than mine.
I had a feeling.
$1.
Ooh, wow.
I would not see if you said $1.50, I'd go no deal.
$1.25.
Nope. No.
$1.15.
None. $1.
50
and that is
cents.
all I would pay. You know what? 99 cents.
All right.
It's going down.
Wow. I feel like just because of this conversation. By the way, another side note. Last thing on Suicide Squad. Soundtrack was amazing.
Disagree. And here's why.
Oh, Christ.
Because it's the soundtrack to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but you know what? That's fine.
No!
Because, yes, it is. And here's why. Because Guardians of the Galaxy had an amazing soundtrack.
It did when it was the first one to use it.
Fine. You know what? I don't care. I'll take that soundtrack
Look.
20,000 times over.
Here's the reason
I
why
love
that
that
doesn't
soundtrack.
count. Because if you said that about every single other aspect of this movie and we
Okay.
just paid $16 to watch Guardians of the Galaxy again, on
Yeah.
the one hand, I would be very pleased.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I would be very upset.
Why?
Because I could just buy it on DVD and watch it as many times as I want.
Fine, but this is a Guardians of the Galaxy-esque soundtrack.
Nah.
No, it's great.
Most of the music in it is from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Don't care. Love it. I would rather have a movie
Nah.
that uses this soundtrack. Fantastic soundtrack.
No,
No.
because there's no secret ingredient.
You're an idiot.
Look, that notwithstanding.
It's a great soundtrack.
Nah.
We should do. You know what I was thinking? We should do an episode on soundtracks sometime. Not scores, but soundtracks.
Yeah.
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 All right. I mean, we could easily do another episode on scores, but
Nah.
fuck that.
Because I would literally be like, yeah, that one sounds just like
Yeah.
the other one.
Yeah, but soundtracks. I think maybe next episode, maybe not. Sometime. I don't know. We'll see.
Probably not the next one.
Probably not the next one or the one after that. Maybe a couple.
If there
times.
is a next one.
Who knows? But yeah, but all right, fine, whatever. Okay, you want to go on to reading assignments?
Yes.
All right, so since this is the first show, let me explain what this is. I am more of a DC person. Andrew is more of a Marvel person. And so to help catch up the other one, we've decided to do a little exchange every week. We'll give each other a reading assignment, talk about it, and then exchange, and then assign something else for the following week.
And I've already decided that that's probably gonna I'm sure it won't be DC and Marvel every time.
Oh yeah. But that's where it starts.
It also very likely won't be reading a lot of the time.
Yeah. I mean, who has time for that?
Yeah.
There's so many
Ain't nobody got time
things
for that.
to sit on a couch and just watch and then just read
Or
words.
listen to.
Ooh. Oh, I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so should we go over what we did with the reading assignments for last week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
I was assigned
Yes.
to read
Yes.
Superman the Red Sun.
Yes. Mark Millar.
It's Miller.
It's Millar.
Just it doesn't matter what he says. His ancestors were Millers, and he decided to change it because he didn't want to be one.
It's spelled with an A.
I don't care.
Okay, fair enough. Mark Millar.
Mark Smith.
Eisner winning Red Sun. Now, so in the 90s to I think the early 2000s, it was very big in the 90s, but what DC started doing, because they kind of had crap storylines in their regular comics, is they started this thing called Elseworlds, where they would develop these hypothetical situations.
Marvel had What If.
Yeah,
It was the same
exactly.
thing, yeah.
But they did it, I mean, they came out with countless Elseworlds, and like so many that I can't even think of all of them. But some of them really took off, and occasionally they'll still do it again. I think Kingdom Come is technically an Elseworld. This is an Elseworld. There's a couple others that have broken through that are really, really popular. So much so that they'll put it into kind of an established canon, whether it be a multiple universe or what have you. But, I mean, so in this one, the idea is that Superman did not land in America.
Well, I like specifically...
Yes.
It's not that he didn't land in America.
Right.
It's that he was sent from whence he came 12 hours later.
Right.
Because the Earth is turning.
Yes.
And so he arrives on Earth 12 hours later than he normally would have.
Yes.
So he ends up in Russia.
Yes.
Which is, I think, the most interesting part. Because it's not just that what if he landed in another place?
Right.
It's specifically 12 hours later. And since the Earth is turning...
Right. And they set it in, kind of, if I remember right, they set it in the time that Superman was created. Like, in real life. Like, they start it
It's the Cold War,
It's the
right?
Cold War.
Yeah.
So I guess I guess
yeah.
they started in, like, the 50s? Is that when they started?
Oh,
You've read it more recently
It
than I
takes
have.
place over, like, 3 different time periods.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, it
skips
takes place...
ahead.
It skips ahead a
forget.
lot.
Yeah, it might have started then. Because I forgot Lex Luthor's a young man when we first see him.
Right.
So, it might be in, like, the 40s and the 50s.
All right. So I'm curious, as a new read, I've read it a couple of times. What were your thoughts on it?
Quick question first.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with this.
Yes.
Who wrote Kingdom Come?
Alex Ross did the art, and Mark Waid.
Mark Waid
was the
wrote
writer.
it.
Yeah.
Why? All right, these stories are mostly good.
Yes.
Neither of them can write Wonder Woman.
You know, I've never...
So...
In what way?
So I
Elaborate.
won't touch on Kingdom Come.
Okay.
But a little bit. Like,
Okay.
she's very... she doesn't listen to reason in it. She's hot-headed because she's been kicked out of her
Sure.
club or whatever. Which shouldn't really matter, but it does because it does.
It does, yeah.
But in this...
By the way, by kicked out of her club, you mean she's had her royalty stripped from
Yes.
her and been exiled from
Right.
the
But
place that
so
she
instead
was
of listening
calling
to
home.
literally everyone else who's like, okay, but the way to get that back is to do X, she says,
Right.
no, I'm going to do Y instead.
Okay.
Which, fine.
Okay.
But in Red Sun... Okay, so I really liked this.
Okay.
Here are the problems with it.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's...
I really liked it.
As a
Here's
nerd
Here's what's
does.
wrong with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick it apart. She is proven to be a mighty warrior, perhaps Superman's only equal in this world.
Yes.
Somehow, the Bat Vigilante
Mm-hmm.
just catches her. We don't see how it happens.
Okay.
All we see is that he has her tied up by her own lasso. which I just don't buy for a number of reasons.
Okay.
Mostly because Batman in this is a real problem. He has a lot of holes. Is there no American Batman?
You love this book.
I did very much. Is there no American Batman?
Isn't Batman supposed to? Isn't he American?
No, he was killed by his parents. Were poor workers in Russia, killed by the guys first in command.
Yes, that's right. It's been a little while since I've read this.
So this guy. So what makes Batman in general is that his parents were extremely wealthy.
Right.
They were gunned down. He thus inherits this large amount of wealth, has therefore countless hours to become a better fighter, learn how to strategize, learn military strategies, for lack of a better word, and also use this endless source of funding to create more weaponry, to create better defense and better armor, to increase his surveillance around the world.
Yeah.
He does countless things with this money. This Batman was raised in poverty.
Yes.
His parents are killed. He still has poverty. He has no access to books because it's communist Moscow. So he doesn't have access to the same kind of literature that we would have had in that time period.
Sure.
He doesn't have access to any funding, anything that can increase his abilities as a fighter or as a mental strategist.
Sure.
He doesn't have access to any sort of psychological help, which not to say that Bruce Wayne ever did.
Right.
But this person shouldn't exist.
Yeah, but he survived the cold grit of Russia.
Nah, right? I don't buy it. First of all, I don't buy that he even can
Batman
outrun...
is strong like bull.
Yeah. I don't buy that he, first of all, can even outrun any of the strategies that the communist Russia military can put out. But secondly, that he can outsmart and overpower Wonder Woman. So there's a big problem. And that's a huge turning point for the plot.
Yeah.
Because it's also when he somehow gets all these red sunlights. And,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that part.
And then Superman's like, yo, Wonder Woman, just break your lasso. And she does, I guess. And then beats up Batman, who then kills himself. Spoiler alert!
Well... Yeah, all right, fair enough.
So there's a lot of problems with that.
Okay.
The women in this story are horribly written. Because Lois Lane is another one.
I mean, Millar's, I think that's something that he's gotten flack for in the past. That
I'm not surprised.
Can't write women. This is the same guy... this is a guy who wrote Kick-Ass. He's written Wanted.
See, I haven't read those, but don't they have, strong female characters in them?
Yeah, but they're also... I mean, I haven't read Kick-Ass, but have you ever read Wanted?
No.
That is probably
I want to.
It's probably going to be an assignment.
Good, because I've seen the movie,
and
I've heard
why?
It's much better than the movie.
Are you kidding me? The movie has nothing to do with
I have heard
comic.
that they both have a loom of doom in them.
A loom of doom?
Yes. The loom.
No.
It's like a sewing thing.
Yeah, no, I know what a loom is,
Yeah,
alright? I'm not a fucking idiot, Andrew.
Look like one.
Fair.
Listen, Lois Lane.
I love that part. Don't even say you didn't like that part. The part where they'll write about this in the history books and blah, blah, blah.
What?
Did they? Isn't this,
Which part is that?
Don't they say, their eyes met for just a second?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So, the fact that happened is a neat thing to put in.
Yeah.
But her character in general, who's just sort of doting around on Lex Luthor...
Right.
I can't with that. I get that it's supposed to be, the 50s or whatever. But, it's... I just can't with that. Here's another problem.
Okay.
Why is Jimmy Olsen how is Jimmy Olsen in the CIA?
Listen.
How did that happen?
I mean,
how is the fact that Superman landed on this planet 12 hours later, how does that put him in the CIA? This bumbling buffoon.
How does any of this happen because Superman landed 12 hours later?
Well, some of it I get. Okay, so I'm I get that
we gotta put him in somewhere.
But I think that's sort of my point, actually, is that I really think they had a great opportunity to really think about, okay, what does this change?
Right.
Does America just get wiped off the map? Because
Right.
these things, because they all seem to come to where Superman is, which happens to be America.
Right.
Do they all just still come to America and he's like, well, this is my home. You guys fend for yourself. So is America just wiped off the map
Right.
instantly?
I mean...
there are real questions that can be answered instead of just oh, this would be a cool thing. Which is what I feel like they do.
Yeah, but then you just have if that happens, if Superman lands in Russia and then all of the stuff that happens in America when Superman lands in America still happens in America, Superman does nothing, then what the hell's the whole storyline? Like, there's nothing. Then it's just pages of a Russian superhuman sitting on his ass.
Well, no, okay, then I ask the question, so this character, this particular Superman, still does help America, right?
Yeah.
So let's say he does. Does he move to America because they're all going there, or do they all come to him in Russia, and how does that change things?
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, you could do that.
There are questions to have, and how does... Like, I really liked the
Right.
stuff with Lex Luthor. I bought pretty much all of that. This is how Lex Luthor would work.
Right.
This is how he would act. This is how he would do the things
Right,
that
right,
he would do and why he would do them.
all right, what, if anything, did you like about this book?
I really liked it. I like the idea that, like... I liked the dialogue a lot.
Okay.
It was
Yep.
well written.
Yeah, it's really well written.
Yes, I believed the things that people were saying sounded like things that those people would say. Whether or not their points I agreed that those people would say. Like a lot of the things Lois Lane said, I really disagreed that her character would even say those
Right.
things. But how they were said, I was like, okay, well, if she were to make that point, this is how she would say it.
Yeah.
So that's really good. It had a strong arc. It had pretty good character development. I just didn't believe the development that was taking place.
What did you think of the did you get to the very, very end?
Yeah.
The last. What did you think? By the way, if you haven't read it, spoilers, 3, 2, 1. At the very end, it turns out it's Krypton. The whole time.
Oh, okay. See, I assumed that it was Earth, but just that...
But it evolves into, if you read,
it becomes another...
It becomes
I see. They changed the name of it.
Yeah.
Because
I think it says that at the it goes on at the very...
Either I missed that or you're wrong.
Either one
Either
or
one
both.
is equal.
Both
Equal
probably are
chance.
true.
But
if I remember right, what happens at the very end is that, the epilogue...
Well, they establish how the child comes to be named Kal-El. I remember that, because they're all named
Right.
after Luthor,
Right.
who becomes this great political citizen,
Right.
who lives for hundreds of years because he cures all of the
Right,
diseases.
right.
And then his child, who is, someone Luthor, and then someone else Luthor, and then eventually it's just Luth,
Yeah.
and then eventually it's just the letter L, and then eventually
It's
down the
L,
line
yeah.
there is a Kal-El.
L. Yeah, but I think that they
They say they I mean, it's possible they changed the name, but I just got the impression, because there's never a reference to Krypton in the story. Before that, at
Right,
least.
no, there's
because
not.
I was just under the impression that he sort of either was just like, oh, I'm an alien because
See,
I
the
crashed
way
with
that I read it
Krypton.
is that you think that he was sent through
From another
space
planet, yeah.
from another planet, and then what you find out is that this happened, and then evolutionary down the line,
Right,
What
yes.
you come to realize is this has been
We're all
Krypton.
Superman.
We're all
we all become Superman
yeah.
evolutionary.
This is Krypton.
Once we get rid of all the diseases,
Right.
and we're all free
This
to
is
do
just
whatever we
Krypton,
want.
and so essentially what happens is the ship did not actually travel through space; it traveled through time.
Well, one really interesting thing too is that, see, this is another thing I actually really, really liked that ending. And I can see it pissing off a lot of people, but I actually really enjoyed it because
Right.
it made sense to me. Because our sun will eventually turn into a red
sun.
Yeah, a red
Exactly.
sun. A red dwarf? Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Just a red sun.
No, I think it's red. No, because it'll
Whatever.
expand.
It becomes red.
Yeah.
And it gets bigger and it'll start to engulf the planet in like 10 billion years or something. So,
Maybe it could be sooner.
yeah, could be next week.
I think it's next week though.
So, it would make sense that over time of getting used to that, it would kill out all the
Right.
people who couldn't take it, and only the strongest would be left alive.
Right.
The people who are most suitable to putting up with this red sun. And then once they're not in a red sun anymore, they're much stronger.
Right.
So that's interesting. I thought that was pretty neat. Yeah, overall, I actually liked it quite a
Hey,
bit. I
cool.
just I found flaws in the plot changes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
So I gave you
You gave
a
me-
nifty little book that you
You
had
did.
already read. I didn't
But it had been
realize.
ages ago, so it was good for me to reread it again.
And it was called one of three things, depending on how you pronounce it.
Yep.
Either Extremus, or Smith.
Yes.
And what'd you think?
I liked it a lot. For those of you who do know it, well, actually, no. Let me try that again. For those of you who don't know it, it is kind of the rough basis for Iron Man 3. There are elements of it in Iron Man 3.
Well, I would say there's a lot of it in Iron Man 3, and there are
Yeah.
elements of it actually in the first movie as well.
Yes, true. I liked it a lot. I found it interesting. It was, I don't know in the complete history of it in the Marvel universe, in that it seemed to be a reboot of the Iron Man origin story, because we were now back to it being Tony Stark's bodyguard, and nobody knew who he was, and so it was kind of nice because it's a good jumping off point for someone who's unfamiliar with the Marvel Universe, especially in a more modern sense.
That might have been the first Iron Man comic I ever read. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might have been.
I found, what I found interesting is that there's a lack of onomatopoeia in the comic.
Yeah.
And so it creates this kind of very, not to make a pun here, but a very stark
well, I was going to say
feeling
like a vacuum.
Yes, a weird vacuum in the book, because there's no onomatopoeia, and there are large sections, or not large sections, but there are a lot of panels that are fighting with no sound to them and no dialogue to them, and so you're just going through these pictures of it, which was sometimes interesting and sometimes kind of boring. Because it didn't fully pull me into the action. Because when I'm reading a comic, you're trying to make this jump off of the page, and you're trying to kind of build a whole world around it in a 2-dimensional way. And so that lack of sound of no. Plus, I mean, I forget what the artist's name is, but his illustrating style is interesting in that. I think I read that he does not use a pencil at all.
Oh.
He does completely, and nowadays they do it, usually they draw on probably a
digital,
computer pad, but he doesn't even do that. I think he is like completely kind of digital. And
with a mouse.
So it creates this very kind of sheened, smooth art
it's
style.
Very unique.
But again, sometimes I found it very kind of just vague.
Yeah.
And kind of easy to gloss over.
Sure.
All of there's the battle at the end that takes place on like an interstate, and it just looks like an interstate that's running through like a Windows 95 background or something, because the grass is
almost
just
that
perfect.
entire fight scene is the final fight scene in the first Iron Man, but with Obadiah Stane.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I mean, overall, I did really enjoy it. I think they did an interesting thing. It essentially is an entire storyline to eliminate kind of a big plot hole in the Iron Man mythos, which is like, how does Tony Stark just transport this giant Iron Man costume around?
Sure. Well, he used to be in a suitcase. in the 70s.
And so, I mean, it's kind of a long way to get to there.
Okay.
I did like that it's a villain that you'll never. I don't think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he can't really come back again. Does he come back? Does that?
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he's pretty much done. But
but I like that it's a one-off villain. That it is. If you're setting up the modern day Marvel universe, and you're setting up Iron Man in that universe, that you're immediately like giving him something to base his entire heroism on. Like, this is my first person that I've really fought and had a challenge with as Iron Man.
Well, and what a motivated villain as well. Like, that's Marvel's biggest problem, at least in the MCU, is that none of their villains have any motivation. And I remember just reading Extremus and just being like, oh my god, like, I get it, dude. I get you,
Right.
You shouldn't be doing these things.
Yeah.
But I get where you're coming from. It's not about money. It's not about power.
Right.
It's just about getting even. It's about evening the playing field.
Yeah, he was very, I will say, and some of this was, I kind of wish we had spent more time with him, because there's that scene with him talking to the like goth girl.
Yeah. Yes, that is one of the best scenes.
It's a great scene.
So much
and
of it.
And I was like, reading, I was like, this is really interesting. And then you find out later, like, he just killed her for no reason at all. And I was like, that's compelling. But then another couple of pages, it's the final battle, and then he's dead.
I agree.
And it was like, okay, and then that conversation felt really unnecessary.
Right.
In the moment, I'm reading it, I'm like, this is really compelling and really interesting, because now it's just this guy has very average motivations. Like, he's just, he's kind of a common American douchebag.
He's a sociopath.
Yeah, he's a sociopath. But he has, like, You know, he's kind of a racist, he's kind of a sociopath, he's kind of a douche. But for the most part, he's not anything very extreme. He's not anything you wouldn't run into.
Extremus?
Oh, God.
You know what's great about that scene, though, where he's talking to the goth girl? It reminds me a lot of the scene in Con Air when Steve Buscemi is talking to the little girl.
Yeah, because there is that tension of, like, she doesn't know what this guy is. She's just having a conversation with someone she just met.
Right.
And so you're like, oh, if you say the wrong thing, you could totally be... Which she eventually does.
Yeah.
And he just offs her. But I did like, throughout that conversation, you found out, like, oh, he has, like, villainous... He doesn't have villainous intent. He's not a nice guy.
Right.
Like, but he's no more of a bad guy than you would find on the street anywhere.
Sure.
And this guy just happened to be the schlub that, like, got injected with this crazy ass virus or whatever you want to call it and gave him powers. And so that in itself is an interesting conundrum of, like, you know, that makes for an interesting villain.
Yeah.
Because it's not like he has anything... He doesn't want to take over the world.
Were you surprised that Killian died on the first page? Do you remember that character? It's Guy Pearce in the third movie.
Yeah. It's the scientist that shoots himself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I did. I think I was more surprised because I remember the name from Iron Man 3. And so, as someone who knows the movies kind of better than that, I was like, oh, there's this guy. Oh, okay.
Right.
That's where this
I went into the movie saying, I can already tell this is going to be bad because they've made a character who kills himself on the first page of the comic the main villain.
Right. Yeah. But I did find, that was interesting. I mean, overall, I did really like it. Like I said, I think that the style of it created a stark atmosphere that at times was compelling, and at times was like, I felt like I could just flip through this book. I could breeze through this in the store without even buying anything.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, good read overall. Good
Great.
job. You want to do next week?
Yeah. What have you ever read Demon in a Bottle?
The famous Iron Man storyline?
Yes.
I know of it, but I've never read it.
Never read it. Great.
All right.
So here's this. I'm very curious to see what you think of Demon in a Bottle.
This I'm actually looking forward to because it is one of those staples of comics that every fan needs to have read, and I admittedly have not read, and it's rather sad.
And we'll see if I agree with that statement next week.
Oh, jeez. I can already tell it's going to be bad. All right. So for you, I've drawn something that is rather current in events.
Drew it?
Well, yeah.
Ooh.
Flashpoint. Flashpoint, for those of you who don't know, is very big right now because, well, first of all, we're kind of ending, in the comics, we're actually ending the story, the ramifications of it. Flashpoint in the DC universe is what prompted the New 52. This is the juxtaposition. But also, we're probably going to end up talking about it because the Flash television show ended the way that this storyline starts.
I'm probably going to need to watch that, aren't I?
Yeah, you should watch it. Do you not watch it?
No.
Well, then fuck you.
Should I watch Arrow?
Nah, you can skip Arrow.
Flash is good?
Flash is great, actually.
Right,
Flash is really good. If you're not watching the Berlanti stuff, it's really good. Obviously, it's better than the cinematic universe.
Oh, zinger.
Yeah. But no, it is really good. Flash is probably the best. Arrow is on its 5th season. It's going into its 5th season. I've stuck with it.
Jesus.
And it just kind of dies off after a while. Legends of Tomorrow is pretty good. Supergirl, actually compelling. But if you're going to pick one, pick The Flash. I think it's the most comic booky.
Is that the first one I should watch? Because I will likely, since we're doing this, eventually make my way through all of them. Should I watch The Flash first?
No, because all the others are going to be a letdown then after that, I feel. Like, if you watch...
That's fine.
Yeah.
I would rather watch the one that lets me get into our podcast as quickly as possible.
Fine, The Flash. Just watch The Flash. It's fine.
And then I'll just be disappointed. It's DC. I'm not...
You're just going to be disappointment.
Yeah.
That's what DC stands for. Disappointment Comics.
That was quite clever.
Trademark Chris. And if anyone else steals it, you can have it.
You heard it here first, kids!
Don't give a fuck. So, yeah. I think that's
pretty
it.
Good, yeah.
We did a show.
We did.
We did a whole episode.
We did. It's very long, but I think that's fine for a first one. We
Sure.
should probably try to cut it down.
Why not?
Especially since it's supposed to be a lunch break.
We'll
This is a lunch break for
probably-
CEOs.
Yes, we'll probably cut. I mean, we'll cut everything down except this conversation about cutting it down.
I'm not going to cut any of it.
Yeah, that sounds.
I think leave it 2 hours for a first one.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
a
with
it's
you.
a
It's an
the first
80-page
thing.
giant, like, to pull it in. You're looking at me like just you don't even know what I'm talking
I have
about.
no idea what you're talking
An
about.
80-page. It's oh, forget it. Jesus Christ, Andrew.
It's like Civil War. It's like 3.5 hours long.
Was Civil War 3 and a half?
It was pretty. I think it was
It was
roughly
long.
3 hours.
Yeah.
All right. So
3 hours long and just as good.
hopefully, by the time this goes up, we will have a website.
Yes.
And it'll be themedialunchbreak.com. We've also got. We also have
Yes?
a very special present for Chris because
Ooh.
we have a Twitter account right now. It's Media Lunch Break. Couldn't fit the V in there.
Couldn't fit the D. in
It's
there?
true. It wouldn't let me.
Hold on.
I ran out of characters.
Twitter, if you're listening, and I know that you are, just let us have 3 more characters.
Do us a solid.
Come on.
And
Well, it'll come out for you on top for you in the end.
probably your next assignment just shipped. So that's good.
Ooh.
Because it was one that I had, and my cat peed on it, and I threw it out.
You know, you said that about Extremus, and I knew you were joking about that, but every time I touched it, I kind of felt like I needed to wash my hands.
Joke's on you. You washed your hands before you came over here, right?
I never wash my hands.
Oh, I'm in the wrong account. So here we go. Chris did not know that we have a Twitter account.
Nope.
We have it open.
Never had a Twitter account before. We'll never have one again.
You should. It's wonderful.
It's terrible.
So our first tweet
Okay.
as Media Lunch Break,
Yes.
at Media Lunch Break, was ... They cut every comprehensible scene from that movie, but left in Will Smith saying, quote, "What are we? Some kind of Suicide Squad?"
Yeah.
That was our first tweet.
That is. We could have just said that tweet as our comprehensive review of the movie and saved everyone a lot of time.
That's true. So we've got that. We're also on Patreon.
Yeah. If you want to contribute to the podcast in any sort of way, where can they find us?
At patreon.com, just search the Media Lunch Break, because as of right now, I don't think we have a specific URL. I think
right.
once we get patrons, we get a URL.
We are
But
on
if you just search,
fire.
If you just search the Media Lunch Break on Patreon, and Patreon's really interesting. It's like Kickstarter, except instead of giving a one-time donation of a large amount, you just chip in $1 a month or something like that, or whatever you can.
That's all you need.
It's all you need. It's the lesser-known Beatles song. All you need is $1 a month. So we've got that.
We got a website coming up.
Yeah,
We got a Twitter account.
This will be posted on YouTube as well. I'm also planning on putting the file up for download on the website. I don't know our YouTube. I think our YouTube is another one. We have to upload a thing before we get an actual URL, but you can find us just by searching the Media Lunch Break, I'm sure.
We are nothing if not professional at this.
It's our first one.
Yeah, sure.
I was talking to you.
I know.
All right.
Oh, I know you're talking to me.
You want to take this outside?
Yeah, let's take
All
it
right, we're going to
outside.
take it outside. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Every single one of you.
Every single... And when I say...
Emphasis on one.
On just one. Thanks, Mom. You didn't even get through this, did you? Yeah.
How do we end one of these?
I don't know. I think we're just gonna click it off. All right. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.